Playing the Game of Your Life. Written by Dr. Alan Curley, Ph.D., Pfph. Narrated by Derik Hendrickson. Chapter 1. The Gambler and the Game. Quote, "There must be nothing worse than sitting on your deathbed, replaying your performances, and knowing that you played the game of your life completely wrong." Unquote. Alan Curley. As I sat on the long train journey home that night, I looked over at the young man sitting across from me, and his face seemed familiar. I had seen that look 1,000 times on men who had entered my change consultancy therapy room. It was a look of disenchantment, a look of failed dreams, but most of all, a look that said, how did I manage to end up down here on the substitutes bench, when I thought I would be flying so high in the game? It was obvious to both of us that he had got on the train with a serious purpose in mind and was currently contemplating to be or not to be. You could see the torment in his eyes as he was torn between thinking he had experienced enough pain and heartache already on this journey, that he just wanted to jump off the train at the next stop, or should he listen to his other inner voice of hope that was telling him to keep battling away on his journey and see what new twists and turns and destinations lay ahead. I asked him his name, and he said Alan. I could see him looking strangely at my kilted outfit, so I told him that I was traveling home after being at a sports awards dinner that night, as I was a friend of Rocky Richards. He looked impressed at my blatant name-dropping, and so I offered him a glass of my wine, which I had rather cheekily procured at the awards ceremony. Well, it was a 100-pound bottle of the finest vino, which would have gone to waste if I hadn't heroically rescued it. He told me that the game of life had given him some tough decisions recently, and he now realized that it would take some big, difficult changes to turn his game and the result around. He told me truthfully that he wasn't even sure if he had the skill, energy, or time left to be able to make the changes. He did not appreciate my wry smile, as I said maybe he should look for smaller, easier changes to try instead. He then sighed and told me that he wished he could go back in time and try and find out where it all went wrong, to speak to his younger self and try to convince him to make some different decisions. His words made me recall my favorite scene from the film, The Shawshank Redemption, where Red goes in for his parole hearing. In order to break up the long train journey home, I then asked him if he wanted to play cards, but he said that he had no money, so I replied that we could play for our life goals instead. The game of poker was something I was very good at, due to my trained ability to read people and the true meaning of their words and facial expressions, therefore predicting accurately what their next move would be. By the time we finished playing the last game of the night, the young man asked me if I was a professional gambler, mainly due to the fact that he was running out of life goals to play me with. Laughing, I turned to him, and in a very Kenny Rogers-esque way, I said, "Son, I am no gambler, but I have made my living from reading people's faces and behaviors, and from knowing what their cards were by the way they held their eyes. If you don't mind me saying, I can see you're out of aces, so let me give you some advice." I told him that I thought life is like a game, but most people don't even know they are playing in it. The ones that do know they are playing often do not know what the rules of their game are, or what they have to do to win it. Furthermore, very few people seem to know the best strategies for making sure that they play their game to their full potential, and thus give themselves the best chance of winning their game and being part of a winning team. It often seemed to me that most people spent more time working out how their mobile phones work than on working out how their mind and emotions and behaviors work in the game of their life. I went back to Kenny Rogers mode and told him that every good gambler knows their game well. They know that every hand can be a winner and every hand can be a loser. But the key to success is knowing which cards to throw away and when, whilst deciding wisely on which hands to keep because they are worth developing. My last piece of advice to him was that if he wanted to keep playing in the game of his life, then he better learn to play it right. The next thing I remember was finding myself smiling as he hummed the immortal lyrics of the Kenny Rogers song, The Gambler. You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know
Sample complete. Ready to continue?